Today I'm doing something a little different. I'm going over my top 10 favorite music Blu-ray releases, talking concert films or artist documentaries. So I mean it quite literally today when I say, let's rock this. Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back. I'm Fuzz. So I'm doing a slight detour from the usual movie talk today. For you music fans out there, we're going to have a lot of fun with this today. Today I'm talking about my favorite music releases on Blu-ray. So that can be either concert films or music documentaries. For any of you who may be new to the channel, this is a physical media discussion channel, but usually I'm talking about movies, right? Especially of the action, horror, or sci-fi variety. But I'm also a really big music fan, as well as a musician and sometimes songwriter and recording artist. Music has just always been a huge part of my life and a really important part of my identity and my personality and whatnot. It's part of who I am. So occasionally you guys will see me sharing something music related on this channel, just to be able to show you guys a different side of my personality and a different side of my own personal interest in physical media. Because that's where my love of physical media originally began, like 40 plus years ago. It began with me collecting music, CDs primarily, but also cassette tapes and vinyl before that. I was collecting vinyl and cassette tapes at a pretty young age before I moved on to CDs. But once I got into compact discs, I was all in on that format and became a huge collector of CDs. And the passion that I have for movies and collecting now really came about as part of an extension of or a natural evolution from my love of music. It's been the result of a multi-decade journey, to the point now where I actually collect more movies on physical media than I do music these days. And I'm more passionate about movies now than I ever have been before. But that music to movies journey is the connective tissue for me here. And it's part of why I felt I could probably get away with stepping outside the channel niche a little bit for today's video. So just think of it this way. This video today is for all you physical media collectors and film enthusiasts out there who also happen to be big fans of music or vice versa. Now, before I get into this list, we do have a new channel member that I want to give a quick shout out to. Dwayne Sager just became a member of the Fuzz Club, became the newest member of the Fuzz Club. Thank you so much for that, Dwayne. Dwayne has been a huge supporter of this channel and always leaves lots of great comments, and I always enjoy chatting with you, Dwayne. Look forward to more of that. So thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot. And if any of you would like to know more about the Fuzz Club, just click on the link in the description or click that join button below and it'll bring up all the information for you. Okay, so let's get right into this list here. Starting off at number 10, I've got kind of a different one here. Prince, live at the LA Forum. This, I know, it looks a little strange here, but it'll all make sense here in a second. This is a Blu-ray, a 2011 concert on Blu-ray, and the only way you could get this Blu-ray was in the Prince Welcome to America Deluxe set. And it came obviously in a little cardboard sleeve here. So to protect the disc, I put the disc in an actual case and then put the sleeve, on the front of the case. But this is an awesome concert, and it's a rare opportunity that we have to see later career Prince in high definition, right? You don't really see a whole lot of later career Prince concerts in HD, especially on a Blu-ray, right? I think there are some YouTube concerts out there, but I was really excited about this. And the reason that I got the deluxe set of Welcome to America was specifically for this Blu-ray. And let me show you what I'm talking about here. This is Welcome to America. This is the set you need to get if you want to get that Blu-ray, right? Look at this thing. Here's my head, and there's Welcome to America right next to it. This thing is huge. It's like an inch thick. It's got vinyl, it's got the CDs, and of course, a bunch of other cool stuff in it. But then it also came with this awesome Blu-ray, which is a full concert from 2011. Like I said, live at the LA Forum. It's an amazing show. You do get a lot of Prince's hits here, like 1999 and Little Red Corvette, Purple Rain. You get Controversy and Kiss and some other ones. But you also get some deeper cuts, like 17 Days. There's a live version of 17 Days on here that is absolutely amazing. And that's one of my personal favorite Prince songs, so I was really pleased to see that was included on here. But yeah, if you don't have this Welcome to America set and you're a big fan of Prince and you want later career Prince on Blu-ray, this is definitely a must-own. It really is. It's an amazing concert, and I bought this Welcome to America thing specifically for this Blu-ray. I mean, of course, I like having Prince is awesome, so I like having the album as well, but the Blu-ray is the reason I bought this. So again, Welcome to America, the deluxe vinyl edition, is the only set that you can get this Blu-ray in. And I will actually put a link down in the description, an Amazon link to this set. It's like less than $40 right now on Amazon, which is a total steal. I mean, this thing is absolutely packed with stuff. So I would definitely recommend picking this thing up if you're a big Prince fan, and if you want that 2011 concert on Blu-ray, you definitely got to snag this. It was worth every penny for me, and I paid a lot more for it than it's on sale right now, but it was still worth it for me. I really wanted this Blu-ray concert. So yeah, Prince live at the LA Forum from the Welcome to America set. Next up for number 9, we have the Eagles Farewell One Tour. This is an excellent concert. Really, really enjoyed this, and it's the last, I think, high-definition Blu-ray that we got before Glenn Frey died. So, we get Glenn Frey on this one, which I was always a big Glenn Frey fan. In fact, Glenn Frey was always my favorite Eagle, actually. So, but this is just a solid concert all the way around. You get, it looks like pretty much the full concert. There's like 30 tracks on this. And, you not only get all those old Eagles classics, but you get some solo songs from their solo careers too. So just an excellent concert, really well done. And I would highly recommend this to anyone out there who is an Eagles fan. If you don't have this in your collection, yeah, it's definitely a must-own for any Eagles fan. Okay, moving on to number 8. This is a tour that I actually saw in person, and that is The Police Certifiable. This is documenting their 2007-2008 world tour, and I was fortunate enough to be able to see a show on this tour, and it was just, I mean, this was the tour that some of us thought would never happen. I mean, there's so much tension in The Police, especially between Sting and Stuart Copeland, that, this was the reunion that we thought was never, ever going to happen. So I remember just being beside myself when I first found out they were actually doing this tour. And it was an amazing tour. It was awesome. It was everything I'd hoped it would be. So you get the full concert here, and it also includes like a 50-minute documentary kind of chronicling them preparing for this tour. And that's pretty interesting to watch because you see all those old tensions come right back when they're like rehearsing for this tour. It's really fascinating stuff to watch them interact with each other. So yeah, if you don't have this Blu-ray, The Police Certifiable, I would strongly recommend it if you're a big fan of The Police. Yeah, to me it was a must-own. I had to have this in my collection, especially after seeing this tour myself. It was a good memento. So yeah, The Police Certifiable. Okay, next up for number 7, I've got a band here that I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with, but it's a progressive rock band, also known as prog. This band is an amazing band, and it's certainly a top 10 band for me, all-time favorite, and that is Porcupine Tree, talking about Closure Continuation Live, Amsterdam from 2012. This was their last tour. This is an awesome band, and if any of you are not familiar with them, let me see, how can I describe them? I guess Porcupine Tree would be sort of like Rush meets Pink Floyd, right? I mean, throw a dash of King Crimson in there for good measure, but they're definitely a prog band. And I'm a big fan of this band. I was really happy that they released this concert on Blu-ray because I did not get a chance to see this tour. I have had a chance to see the band live before. I've seen them like 7 times before. I'm a huge Steven Wilson fan. Steven Wilson, the main guy here, the guy is a musical genius. He's been around. He's done so much. He's not just, making killer music of his own and playing, some great guitar, but he's also a producer, a highly respected producer in his own right. He's produced and remixed and remastered classic albums from bands like Jethro Tull and Yes, Tears for Fears. So yeah, Steven Wilson is the man. He is absolutely brilliant. And so yeah, I was glad this came out on Blu-ray. If you've never checked out this band before, I would highly recommend it. This is an amazing show that really kind of sums up their whole career nicely. So yeah, if you've never heard of Porcupine Tree, you should definitely check them out. They absolutely rock. Yeah, Closure Continuation Live for my number 7. Moving on to number 6, and continuing with the prog theme, I'm also a huge fan of Genesis, and we have a great documentary here called The Sum of All Parts. Any Genesis fans out there? Yeah, if you haven't seen this, you definitely should. It's a great documentary, yeah, that's another top 10 all-time favorite band for me. I'm a huge Genesis fan. I've always loved Genesis. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten a lot from Genesis in high definition. We've got this great documentary that really is a nice retrospective on their career and really fascinating stuff to watch. But we've never really gotten a whole lot of live concert footage in high definition, and that's the key here. I mean, I have some old Genesis DVDs that have never been released on Blu-ray, and my understanding is that some of those, it's never going to happen because they were shot on video when they were first made. I'm talking about the Way We Walk tour, the Live at Wembley, the Invisible Touch tour. These are classic concerts that absolutely should be released on Blu-ray, but unfortunately, they were shot on video, so it doesn't look like we're ever going to get them. We did get Three Sides Live, and that's about it. This is really, for as far as live Genesis in high definition, this is about the best we've got right now. So, and I'm glad that they put this out, but I really would have liked to have seen The Way We Walk and Live at Wembley, hell, even Live in Rome, or the When in Rome DVD that they did during that reunion tour. I think it was 2007. Even that would be great to have on Blu-ray, but we don't have a lot of live Genesis on Blu-ray. But anyway, if you're a fan of the band and you'd like to learn more about them, I would definitely recommend this documentary. It's really well done and just really fascinating stuff. So Genesis, The Sum of All Parts. Moving on to number 5, and still continuing with this whole progressive rock thing, another band. This is a top 2 favorite band for me of all time. It's a band called Marillion, and the release I'm talking about is a 3-night concert extravaganza called Out of the Box. This was recorded over the course in 2015 during the course of one of their Marillion weekends. Let me explain. Marillion is a band that every 2 years they get together and they do this like 3-night concert festival where they play 3 shows in a row and you see nothing but Marillion for 3 days. You eat, sleep, and breathe Marillion for 3 days. In fact, my wife and I had the opportunity to actually see one of these Marillion weekends once back in 2009. This one's from 2015, but my wife and I attended the 2009 Marillion weekend, and it was just an incredible experience. I mean, we both walked away from that as like feeling like the world's biggest Marillion fans. It was very cool. In fact, let me set this down for a sec. In fact, they actually released a DVD of that Marillion weekend. I'm actually in this DVD. I was at this show. So yeah, live in Montreal. My wife and I traveled to Montreal in 2009, and we felt very grateful that we were able to experience this kind of event. It was truly an incredible experience. But getting back to the actual release here that I'm citing for my number 6, Out of the Box. This is an incredible live Blu-ray, right? You get 3 nights of concerts, and they include a full performance of the entire Marbles album. For any of you Marillion fans, you know the significance of that album. So yeah, I'm really grateful to be able to have this. I've got some other live concert Blu-rays from them as well, but if I could only pick one for this list, this is probably the one that I'd pick. So yeah, for my number 5, I've got Marillion, Out of the Box. All right, next up, moving on to number 4, I'm also a huge Todd Rundgren fan, and I actually have 2 releases here that I couldn't decide between. They really kind of go hand in hand together. The first one is, so we're talking Todd Rundgren releases for my number 4. The first one being An Evening with Todd Rundgren. Awesome Blu-ray. I actually saw this tour, and I was really grateful to see this tour because he didn't do anything weird with this tour. Like Rundgren fans know that he can sometimes do some strange shit with his tours. There was one tour, what was it, the Global Tour, where he just came out with a DJ. It was just him and a DJ and like some go-go dancers or something. It wasn't, the normal Rundgren, playing with his band kind of thing. So he does some strange stuff sometimes to kind of mess with people. But not for this tour. This tour, he actually made it about the fans and actually gave the fans what they wanted. And so we've got an awesome set list here that really reflects, fan favorites, right? It was called a fan favorites tour. And so my wife and I went to this show, not this show, but this tour. We saw this tour and it was a great experience. So yeah, this was just an amazing tour. And then after he did this tour, he did another tour where he reunited Utopia right here, and he got that on Blu-ray as well. Utopia live in Chicago. I took my son to see this tour near us, and wow, this was an amazing, amazing concert. And you really can't just go with one or the other on these. You got to have both, right? Both the Todd Rundgren solo stuff and Todd Rundgren with Utopia. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Utopia. They were kind of a Todd Rundgren, they were a separate band that Todd Rundgren was in during the 70s and 80s, and they made some great music. So if you're a Rundgren fan, I would definitely recommend picking up both of these two if you can still find them. I'm not even sure if these are in print anymore, but I'm really glad that I have them in my collection. And if you're a Rundgren fan, you might want to search for them and seek these out and see if you can get your hands on them. By the way, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, do me a favor and please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can always be alerted when I'm posting videos that you might be interested in. Also, don't forget to like the video as well. It really does help with the algorithm and the channel's visibility out there on YouTube. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Okay, moving on to number 3. We're talking about my all-time favorite band at this point. You see me wear the shirts a lot, and that is The Cure. It's Curation 25/Anniversary. This was, I think, from 2018, these concerts, and it's actually 2 separate shows that you get on this. It's awesome. One of the concerts at Hyde Park, and it's kind of a greatest hits type concert, and then the other concert is an indoor venue. I can't remember the venue, but you get a totally different type of concert. But you get 2 concerts, 2 full concerts on this Cure release, and it is just amazing. It looks great, it sounds great, and yeah, I'm a huge, huge Cure fan. Like I said, this is like my all-time favorite band now, with Marillion maybe being number 2, right? So Marillion used to be my favorite band, but The Cure kind of overtook Marillion in my mind in recent years. So yeah, if you don't have this, and if you're a fan of The Cure, it's a must-own. Any Cure fan, you've got to have this in your collection. I have seen the band live a number of times myself, and I can say this definitely captures the spirit, the vibe of being at a Cure show. What can I say? This is just amazing, and if you're a fan of the band, you definitely don't want to miss out on something like this. Okay, for my number 2, I'm moving on to some Peter Gabriel here. I'm a huge Peter Gabriel fan. In fact, just saw him live last year on his I.O. tour. Boy, was that amazing. But really, I also saw this tour back in the early 90s, and that is the Secret World Live tour. This was an absolutely amazing tour to be able to experience. I mean, to this day, I consider it one of the best concerts I've ever seen, ever. And this was in the early 90s, but it was so theatrical. Anybody who knows anything about what Peter Gabriel is like live knows that he can be very theatrical and very creative, very cutting edge in the stuff he does. And when I first saw this show in Seattle back in the 90s, I was like blown away. It was just an absolutely incredible show that has stayed with me to this day, to the point where here I am, even over The Cure, putting this as a top 2 favorite Blu-ray release, just because I have such nostalgia for it and such a strong personal connection to this tour. And it was great stuff. So yeah, if you've never seen Peter Gabriel's Secret World live, this is definitely one you want to add to your collection. This is a classic piece of concert history, really. So yeah, for number 2, Peter Gabriel's Secret World live. Moving on to my number 1, this is what I consider to be the best single music documentary ever made, and that is Rush, Beyond the Lighted Stage. Absolutely love this documentary. I'm, of course, a huge Rush fan as well. And yeah, I really do believe this is one of the better documentaries that we've ever seen in terms, for a single artist, right? So this is like a career retrospective covering like their entire career up to this point. And then they also released another film a few years later. This was Time Stand Still. This was covering their R42 tour, their final tour. So anyway, Rush, Beyond the Lighted Stage, just an excellent documentary. There's a lot of people in here, a lot of famous people commenting on on Rush and the influence, the impact that they've had on music, on the music industry. And it's just a really fun ride all the way around. And, this is feature length. And Time Stand Still is feature length. So between two of these, you've got like a 3.5-hour documentary, 4-hour documentary on Rush. That's awesome stuff. So yeah, that's my number 1, Rush, Beyond the Lighted Stage. I would highly recommend this for anyone who is a Rush fan, but maybe hasn't seen this documentary. It's a must see. It's a must own for any Rush fan. Okay, so that wraps it up for my top 10, but of course I do have some honorable mentions here. In fact, this was a tough video to do, to narrow it down here, because I could have easily talked for like an hour on this stuff. I'm such a big fan of music, and there's so many concert Blu-rays that I'm into that I could just ramble on and on indefinitely about them probably. But picking up where we left off, at my number 1 for Rush there, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I got some recommendations for some awesome Rush concert Blu-rays. My favorite is actually the Clockwork Angels tour. This was the last time I saw them live. I saw Rush, I think, like 6 or 7 times over the course of their career. And this was the last time I saw them, and this was just an amazing show. And so yeah, Clockwork Angels live. If you've never seen it, I would highly recommend it. And again, this is if you're a Rush fan, right? Also, the Time Machine tour, another tour I saw like their last, like 4 of their last 5 tours I saw. I was able to attend. And this one I saw twice, 2 different dates on this tour. So yeah, the Time Machine tour, this is the one where they were playing moving pictures in its entirety, along with a bunch of other stuff as well. So yeah, both of these, I think, if you're a Rush fan, are must-own. Clockwork Angels tour and the Time Machine tour. I'm also a big fan of Yes, which probably shouldn't surprise anyone now. And I actually have always been kind of partial to the Trevor Rabin era Yes. I mean, I like the classic 70s Yes lineup too, but I've always been a little bit partial to the Rabin years. And so I was happy when they released this. ARW, you got John Anderson, Trevor Rabin, and Rick Wakeman. This is a great concert, and brings back a lot of memories of me seeing them live on the Talk Tour back in the early 90s. That was an amazing concert. And so this kind of recaptured a little bit of that. Of course, they're much older now, but yeah, just great stuff. You can't go wrong with something like this. I've also always been a big Billy Joel fan, and if you don't have Billy Joel live at Shea Stadium, yeah, you definitely should check this out. Billy Joel, I'm a keyboardist, right? As a musician, keyboards is my primary instrument, and I'd be lying if I said that Billy Joel wasn't a huge influence as a keyboardist. Both Billy Joel and Bruce Hornsby were like my 2 biggest keyboard influences. When I was a teenager, I used to learn to play his songs on piano. So yeah, I've always been a big fan of Billy Joel, and this is a great concert to have in one's collection. It's got an amazing set list. So yeah, Billy Joel live at Shea Stadium. Next up, we got the final concert for a-ha. Ending on a high note. This is a 2010 concert. Of course, it didn't actually end up being their final concert. They have since released 2 more albums and done other tours and, you know, played lots of shows since then. But I think at the time they thought they were done, and they thought they were packing it in, and so they did this Blu-ray, and it's a great Blu-ray. If you're a fan of the band, as I am, I love this band. You know, I know a lot of people, they just remember the 80s hits, Take On Me or whatnot, but this band's been releasing albums all along, you know, for the last, whatever, 30, 40 years. And, you know, I've always been a big fan of this band. I actually saw them live during their first tour in Seattle at a little place called the Paramount. And yeah, it was just a great show. So me and this band kind of go back a ways. But if you're a fan and you've never seen this, yeah, definitely check it out at some point. This is a great concert. I'm also a big fan of Simple Minds, and they released a Blu-ray that I really dig, and that is called Celebrate Live at the SSE Hydro Glasgow. Now, this isn't quite the full concert, and that's what kept this out of my top 10. It's kind of an edit. It's 93 minutes of concert, but it's not their full show. And that always bums me out when they do that. I don't know why they clip stuff like that. I want give us the whole show. That's what we want. But we don't have a lot of Simple Minds live in high definition. So I was really grateful for this release for that reason alone. And, you know, even though it's only 93 minutes of the full concert, what we do get here is awesome stuff. This was the concert footage is from around the time of their Big Music album, I think. And so, yeah. Check this out if you've never seen it. If you're a big Simple Minds fan, as I am, I love Simple Minds, another band I've seen live a couple times and have always really enjoyed their work. But this is a great show. So yeah, Simple Minds, Celebrate. All right, and one last honorable mention here is Toto. I'm a big Toto fan, and I've always really liked Falling in Between. This is a great concert. They actually have a number of their concerts on Blu-ray. I think there's like 4 or 5 concerts on Blu-ray that you can get for Toto, but and they're all good. It's hard to choose. I actually had a hard time trying to decide which one to choose. But ultimately, of all the Toto Blu-rays that have been released, this is the one that was my personal favorite. For one thing, it's got Bobby Kimball back singing vocals, and that's a big thing. I'm a much bigger fan of Bobby Kimball's voice than I am of Joseph Williams' voice. And I don't care if Joseph Williams is John Williams' son. Bobby Kimball was just a much better vocalist all the way around. So that's one of the reasons that I'm into this particular show, is because we do get Bobby Kimball doing his thing. This also has an amazing set list. You get, you get some classics like Pamela and, of course, Africa and Rosanna and whatnot. But you also get some cool stuff like The Bottom of Your Soul, Caught in the Balance. Yeah, there's just some great songs on this Blu-ray. And let's be clear here, right? If you're a fan of Toto, I would recommend getting all of their Blu-ray releases, right? They're all good. They've all got at least a few songs on them that aren't on the others, right? And so they've all got something good to offer. But if you could only get one to start, this is the one I'd recommend. This is my favorite. Okay, so that about wraps it up for my favorite music Blu-ray releases. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. What are some of your favorite music releases on Blu-ray? And what do you think of my choices here? I would love to hear your feedback. I always enjoy chatting with you guys about this stuff. And if you get me going on music, I'm probably going to be really chatty because, I just love music and I could talk for hours about it. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.